All right, welcome folks to today's webinar for the Summer Advising Plus Registration Information session. This webinar is going to be strictly for our CNSM first year students. So I really appreciate everyone being here. And so we will get started. We're going to get started by introducing our panel. So if everyone can turn on their cameras for me, and I will start off with introducing myself. My name is Dennis Garcia. I am the coordinator for learning communities as well as the academic advisor for applied math, applied statistics, and mathematics. And then I will hand it over to Caesar.
So hello, everyone. It's nice to virtually meet everyone, but I'm also an academic advisor, just like Dennis. My majors that I advise is biology, last names N through Z, as well as molecular cell biology, last names H through Z.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CNSM. My name is Dalia Valle. I'm one of the academic advisors here. I advise biology students A through G and marine biology. And it's nice to meet you all. And I'm going to pass it over to Shannon.
Thank you, Dalia. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to sharing some good information with you. My name is Shannon Durbin, and I'm the coordinator for advising here at CNSM. I advise pre-majors in bioed, geology, earth science, math education, physics, and astronomy. And thank you again. And I'll hand it back to Dennis to get us started.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So first and foremost, we are going to jump into housekeeping stuff, right? So I just want to make sure that everyone has their video and microphone disabled. The second thing is that if you do within the presentation, if you do have some questions, that you use the Q&A feature, and we will start answering those accordingly towards the end. Next thing would be that we prioritize questions related to the topic, right? So let's say we're going through some information and some questions do pop up. Keep that in mind and feel free to use that Q&A and start, writing those questions along, and then we will eventually get to those as we progress through. The next thing is that we are recording this info session, so it will be available later for viewing on the Summer SOAR guidance for incoming transfer students website. And then lastly, moving forward, please check your email regularly, right? And make sure it's your CSULB email, and any correspondence is going to be coming from our CNSM related email. And that's going to be our primary avenue for communication. Next. On the agenda, we have quite the list, right? So we're going to be talking about upcoming deadlines prior to your SOAR date, course recommendations, SOAR advising, registration and orientation, next steps, and what to bring to your SOAR date. And then lastly, it's going to be any Q&As that you do have for us, and then we'll be able to answer those. Next. All right, so to start off with the upcoming deadlines, there are quite a few, but these are only about 4 of the most important ones that we think are going to be relatable for this particular webinar. So the first one is going to be the CNSM incoming first year advising survey. That's going to be June 16th. The next one is going to be the math and chemistry placement, which is July 7th, as well as the CNSM Academic Advising course, which is going to be available through our Canvas website. So that will also be July 7th. And then lastly, it's going to be the SOAR Academic Advising and Registration and orientation date, which is going to be anywhere between July 31st and August 13th. Every student is going to have their particular date where they do have to show up. So make sure that you do keep up with those dates and you check your email regularly so you can identify which dates you're supposed to be attending. Next. So prior to your SOAR date, there are certain things that we want to make sure that you do know, right? So the first thing is going to be how to ensure you are starting in the correct fall 2024 courses. And so essentially to create those course recommendations, there are a couple of things that we as a CNSM team need from you to create those course recommendations, right? And so the first one is going to be completing the CNSM First Time First Year Advising Survey, which has a deadline of June 16th. If necessary, completing the Math and Chem Alex Placement Assessment, which the deadline again is July 7th. And if you do want to find out a little bit more information on that, you can see our Summer SOAR guidance website for more information on both the math and chem placement. And then lastly is going to be submitting your official transcripts to CSULB, and the deadline is going to be July 15th. These are highly important, and so these are certain things that we do need to create those accurate course recommendations prior to your actual SOAR date. And so, you know, if you haven't already, start getting those out, getting those checklists checked out, and then from there, everything should be pretty much good to go. Next slide, please. Course recommendations, right? This is something that a lot of students actually do reach out and they have a lot of questions. So prior to attending SOAR, you will receive a recommendation via email. And again, that's going to be through our CNSM email. So keep a lookout for that. And that's going to be recommendations that we as advisors kind of overview and see what the best course sequence and course recommendation is going to be based off of various things, right? And so some of those various things are going to be what is listed on there. It's going to be the CNSM First Time First Year Survey. It's going to be your math and chemistry placement information, and then also the transcripts that you submit. So this can be either high school transcripts and then also any community college transcripts that you have based off of college courses that you took during high school. And some of those information, the information that is in the transcript is going to contain like AP, IB, any testing scores that you completed as well, right? And then lastly, it's going to be your pre-major and GE requirements. And so all of this is essentially the foundation that we utilize to create your course recommendations. And of course, there's other factors to it, but those are usually things that we also take into consideration for those course recommendations. Next slide, please. This is a quick snippet. I apologize. From here, I'm going to send it over to Caesar.
Yes. So thank you for that, Dennis. But yes, so speaking a little bit on the course recommendations, this is the actual, not the actual page, but this is what it's going to be looking like. So we want to highlight a couple of different things so that when you get your course recommendations, we will be sending it to you, like Dennis mentioned, a couple of days before your SOAR date. So depending on when you pick your SOAR date, that's when you can sort of anticipate a couple of days before then, you'll get something that looks like this. So we want to highlight a couple of different points on here, with the top portion being information related to you. So it's going to include your student, it's going to include your name, your email, your major, CSULB ID. So make sure that that's accurate. And if not, just let us know. But going to the actual course recommendations, you can see that we have it set up in a table format. On the left-hand side, you can see that it'll have courses from 1 all the way to as many courses as we're recommending you take, with really sort of the priority being the top courses. So in this instance, calculus, chemistry courses being the priority, but I do want to stress that that doesn't mean that the courses at the bottom, so let's say that GE class is not important. All these classes are critically important, especially for your first year. So just because something is ordered in a way where it's at the bottom, it doesn't necessarily mean that that class you should just neglect and focus on, let's say, a math class. So we do want to highlight that. And then going column by column, you can see that, for example, course 1, that first column tells you what department that course is. So in this class, it's a calculus-based mathematics class. In the following column, you can see that it tells you the specific class name. So you're taking a calculus course, and the class is Math 119. And you can see that for every other class. So course 2, we can see it's a chemistry course, and it's Chem 111A with the lab portion included with it. So that's all one class. As you can see, it's all within that one square. Same for the next course, it's the NSCI course 190. And then going to the other side of the table, you can see how many units that class is. So for course 1, your Math 119, you can see that that's a 3-unit course. But you can see also your course 2, your chemistry 111A, that is a 5-unit course. So you want to keep these things in mind. And then you can see at the bottom how many units you're going to be fully enrolled when you're enrolling for this particular schedule. So definitely something you want to keep in mind. Like, for example, if you're working a lot, that's where things like the CNSM first time, first year survey really helps us build your schedule. Because if you're working a ton of hours, we don't want to give you 16 units only for you to be able to not be able to take that many units. So definitely things like this where we want to make sure that we're building the best schedule based on sort of where you're at. And also important, apart from just the course recommendations, you can see that box on the right-hand side. That is something you always want to check because your advisor will always be putting information here, such as, hey, you're indicating that you're turning in AP scores, but we don't have them yet. So a lot of critical information will also be on here. And I think the other important factor is you can see, for example, in this example, is it says option to take ASAM 100B, AFRS 100B, and a ton of other courses. And you can see that it's sort of right next to the English 100B. So instead of English 100B, you have the option to take any of these other courses that are listed here if in the event English 100B is not something that works with your particular schedule. So there are different options. We don't necessarily lock you into, hey, you have to take this one specific course, more so with the major courses, but when it comes to things like GEs, you do have a little bit of option. But we definitely encourage you to take a look at this course recommendation, review it. That way, when you come to your SOAR date, you'll have an idea of what you're registering for. And if you have any questions, you can let an advisor know ahead of time. We can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so going a little bit more sort of generally speaking on what that SOAR date is, because it's something we've been discussing throughout summer. We've been sending you email correspondence relating to it. Really, your day is going to be broken up into your morning sort of schedule and then your afternoon schedule. So we'll be with you primarily in the morning, but your first sort of arrival to campus will be checking in with SOAR. So you'll be checking in with SOAR, and then within that morning session, we'll be working with us, the CNSM advising team, and we'll go over a presentation with you, as well as register you for your classes on that day. So just want to reemphasize that we'll be registering for your classes on your SOAR date. And then after that, once we finish with your classes, we'll then hand you off to the SOAR team where you'll complete orientation with them. So we can go to the next slide. All right, so then going a little bit more into detail on what exactly that registration plus advice is going to look like with us. After you check in with the SOAR team, a group of peer advisors, so students that are in CNSM majors, will escort you to the Hall of Science building, which is where the advising team is located. There you will meet with your academic advising team. So myself, Dennis, Dahlia, as well as the other advisors will be there to be able to support you and go through an advising presentation, which will give you a ton of information on key policies and things that you should know for your first semester, as well as go into a little bit of fun activities to sort of build that community and that connection with not just the advising team, but also the students that you'll be taking classes with. After that, we'll jump into registering for your classes, and then you'll be fully registered for your classes, ideally by the end of our morning session. You'll then be heading off to lunch, and then after that, you will attend your SOAR orientation programming and finish out your day. We can go to the next slide. All right, so then for everyone that's here, sort of next steps from now up until the SOAR date, you want to continuously, like Dennis mentioned, check your email. That's our primary form of communication. So you want to constantly check both your personal email as well as your CSULB email. Reminder to activate that if you haven't already. But email will be the primary form of contact where we will be sending you your course recommendations, any updates. So you want to make sure to get in a habit of consistently checking it. You also want to complete the first time, first year survey, just because, like I mentioned, that is something that's going to give us more information apart from just like, let's say your AP scores, your transcripts. This will really give us information on, hey, are you commuting? Hey, do you have to work? A ton of other different factors that we want to make sure that we take into account when we're building your schedule. So we want to make sure that you have some input in that schedule that you will be receiving shortly. You also want to make sure that if you need them, take your math and your chemistry placements. Again, more information can be found in our website. If you have any questions relating to, hey, do I need my math placement? Do I need the chemistry placement? And also complete the Canvas course that can be found in the SSO. You'll also be receiving course recommendations via email before you attend SOAR. So again, make sure that you're checking your email for any updates, any information, and that you have access to that by your SOAR date. So course recommendations, when we will actually be sending them out, is between July 16th and July 29th. And it's also based on your SOAR date. So the earlier your SOAR date, the earlier you will be getting your course recommendations, and we'll sort of just move along at that pace. So you want to make sure that apart from receiving them, you want to review your course recommendations and just get familiar with the classes that you'll be taking. And then also bring a copy of your course recommendations to SOAR, whether that's a printed out copy or an electronic version. We just want to make sure that you know which classes you're enrolling in, okay? And then we can go to the next slide. So what to bring when you arrive for your SOAR date. So you want to make sure that you're dressing comfortably. CSULB is a really large campus if you haven't already visited. So you want to make sure that if, let's say it's the morning, you have a jacket handy and something like a light jacket, something that you can easily just sort of layer on and off to make sure that you're comfortable both inside and outside, because you will be doing a lot of walking as you're navigating campus and you're moving from here to there to some other component. So make sure you dress comfortably and make sure that you let us know if there's any issues. You also, if you are able to, please bring a laptop or a tablet. That way you can register for your classes without an issue. If you cannot bring a laptop, please contact our CNSM Advising email, which is on the bottom of this presentation. And then we can try and get you a device so you can make sure that you're registered fully for your classes. Have a pen or pencil for notes and activities that we'll be doing throughout the day. Again, bring your CNSM course recommendations, whether that's a printed physical copy or an electronic version. Just make sure you have a copy of that handy, and be ready to meet new people, relax, and finally, just welcome to the beach. It's a really big milestone that you'll be undertaking. So we're all excited to get you started. I know some of you are probably sort of already anxious to begin, but definitely right now, take some time, enjoy sort of that break that you have. And then once your SOAR day comes, then we can fully dive into the process of beginning your college journey. We can go to the next slide. All right, so now we will leave some time for a Q&A session. So again, at the bottom of your Zoom room, there should be a Q&A functionality. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat and we will be addressing them and answering them as they come in. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Caesar. Thank you, Dennis and Dahlia. Yeah, so if you guys have questions out there, we can either answer them live or we can just respond to them in the Q&A. So we'll give it a few moments because maybe you're typing right now. So yeah, feel free to give us a question. The other thing too is Dahlia included our contact email in the chat, which was the last thing that was added in there. So if later on you're thinking, oh shoot, I wanted to ask this, you can always email us and we'd be happy to answer you later on. So it's not just a one-shot deal. Feel free to reach out to us all throughout the summer and beyond. We'll give folks just another minute or two to put questions in the Q&A. Sure, yeah. So the question is, could you repeat the order of things we do during SOAR? Absolutely. So, just so you know, our group of advisors is going to be reaching out to you with multiple emails over the course of the summer. So as we get closer to SOAR, you'll also have more information. So don't feel like you have to know it all right now. But in terms of your question right now, you'll arrive to campus and you'll sign in at SOAR. They'll have, just a brief welcoming program for you that'll kind of get you situated and sorted. And then peer advisors from our college will come scoop you up and take you over to the Hall of Science, where we'll be there to meet you and welcome you in. And we'll have a chance to, meet the dean of our college, to go over some really important advising information that's going to be helpful to just let you hit the ground running. We're going to have some snacks, some activities, and then we're going to do some registration, which I know everyone's really excited about. And then following registration, you guys are going to go ahead and grab some lunch. And then you'll return, you'll be guided back to the SOAR orientation programming. So don't worry about it. You'll be in good hands, and folks will be guiding you to each destination. We'll maybe give it just one more minute. But again, I encourage everyone to click on the links that were provided in the chat so you can even view them later. To copy our advising email so you can reach out to us if you think of other things that you'd like to ask. And let me thank my wonderful team here, most amazing folks on the planet, and you're going to get a chance to work with them very, very soon. We cannot wait to work with you. And let me hand it over to this wonderful panel for last words, I guess.
Awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you all for stopping by and actually attending the webinar. If there is any information that you feel you still don't understand or you want to expand further on, feel free to reach out to our advising email, and either myself or any of our other advisors will be more than happy to answer those questions and concerns and kind of expand and provide additional resources. But other than that, I'm really excited to meet all of you, and hopefully come fall, we are able to see you more often and kind of guide you into the right direction. So thank you.
As Cesar mentioned, be sure to enjoy your summer and then check your email, and that's how you're going to stay connected and kind of know what's next. So thank you for being here today. And yes, we are excited to be working with you this summer and in the fall. So welcome.
Yes, you only get like one of those like stress-free summers, so make sure that you take advantage of it, because again, like I said, you'll hit the ground running once you join us during the fall semester. So we know you probably have a lot of ambitions, goals, things that you want to get done, but definitely want to make sure that you're taking some time right now to relax, enjoy. And then if you have any questions, like Dennis mentioned, feel free to contact us. We will be happy to explain anything a little bit further. If you need a little bit more sort of guidance, just let us know. We'd be happy to help. But again, happy that you're here, happy that you'll be joining us, and we can't wait to see you during SOAR.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.